Welcome to Julie Whitney Scott Presents Let's Talk Theater, a Mind for God production sponsored event, heard only on WGRN LP 94.1, the Green Renaissance Station. Let's Talk Theater.
Welcome to Let's Talk Theater. I'm your host, Julie Whitney Scott, and I am at this very moment going to bring something to you that is bittersweet, but I'm still so very excited and thrilled for Cory that it's going to finally come to pass. I'm talking about the cast and the playwright is here with me on Let's Talk Theater. They're going to be bringing to us at the Abbey Theatre in Dublin, Ohio. Catspaw. I want to welcome you guys to Let's Talk Theater. Thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that what we'll start off with is first, let's find out what the playwright's got to say. He's the one that wrote this play. So, Cory, why don't you talk to us first about Catspaw? How did this start off? But before we really get into Catspaw, I think it's important that people know a little bit about you, the playwright. Who are you?
So I'm Cory Spurdahl, based in Columbus, Ohio. I'm originally from the rural state of North Dakota. I've been in Ohio about 30 years. Started writing plays about 25 years ago, and Catspaw is actually my very first play. So since then, I've written more than 25. So happily settled in Ohio and writing away, being more productive in the last 10 years than I've been for a long time. That's the short and sweet.
Okay, why don't you introduce to us your cast members, the people here. They'll tell us a little bit about each one of you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we're going to talk about the characters.
So there are 4 characters, and we have 3 of the 4 actors here today. So first up is Bill Darby. Bill plays Richard, who is a somewhat interesting, shady character in the play. Do you want me to introduce everybody and then come back? Okay. Josie Merkel plays Alice, who is the best friend of Richard's mother. And Jaimie Schwartz plays Peter, who is the second husband of the main character who is missing. And Ollie Warden plays Lindy, who is the daughter of the missing woman. So all 4 of these characters are connected to the missing woman, whose name is Barbara, and they all have reasons for either wanting to find her or not wanting to find her. So,
Josie, first let me say to my audience, the reason I said I was bittersweet is because I was originally going to play this role that she's playing, Alice, until that old dreadful COVID once again reared its ugly head and put a stop to another production. That's why I said I was kind of bittersweet about bringing it here, because I'm not going to be actually in it, but very happy that it's finally getting done. Josie and I have acted together. Mm-hmm. I consider her one of my dear theater friends. And Josie, I want you to tell us a little bit first about who you are. Let the people know who Miss Josie is.
Well, I'm Josie Merkel. I've lived in Columbus all my life. Have raised 4 children. I have 10 grandchildren. I acted when I was young. I was a theater major, all of that. Took about 25 years off the theater stage to raise my children. And I came back to the stage about 11 or 12 years ago. And I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've had. And Julie, we have worked together. It was great fun. Waiting for the what was it? Waiting
to Waiting to be invited.
That's it. Waiting to be invited. That was a great play.
Oh, that was
Anyway,
good.
I'm sorry that you don't get to do this, but I'm awfully glad that I do, because Alice is a great part. Cory wrote a
And you know what?
wonderful.
And the truth of the matter is, if anybody else had to come behind me, I'm happy as you, because I know you're going to bring what I would bring to that character, which is the yeah. So I'm okay. I can't wait to see it.
Good.
Let's see, Jaimie. Let's move over to you. Talk to us and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I have been a Columbus native almost all my life. Actually born in New York City, came to Columbus as a baby and grew up here, and have acted for about 15 years. And the reason I got into it is because being me every day is kind of boring. It's fun to be somebody else, and Cory has given me an opportunity to be somebody, hopefully, that I'm not in my day-to-day life, because he's such a terrible human being at so many levels. But it's the reason I've been acting for the last 15, 20 years, is to be able to get into somebody else's skin and be in a world that is temporary but wonderful. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be in this thing, especially with the likes of these other actors that I get to play with.
Bill, talk to us. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Bill Darby. I was born and raised in Akron, Ohio, and I came down here as soon as I could, and I've been in Columbus ever since. I've been working in live theater and acting education since 2011, 2012, around there. And I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. Like Jaimie said, you get to get into someone else's skin, and also piggybacking on the latter end of his sentence, you get to work with a lot of great people. I think you get to see the best side of humanity through theater. So also very thankful to be a part of this cast and group.
Talk to us a little bit about, you said something about you had been gone and you came back. And Jaimie, I want you to piggyback on this too, because you guys look like y'all probably like me. You know, we've been around here a little bit, and at our age at this time, and you too, Cory, you know, still being the playwright, you know, and still out here, we're getting our work. We're not leaving you out, Bill. You'll still be with us. But, and what I mean by this, where I'm going with this is, how wonderful is it in our stage right now to still be out there doing something that we love and want to do? Anybody can jump on that one.
Josie, go ahead.
Well, I just feel grateful every day. Yeah, that I've been able to do that. It's funny, when I left the stage, I did it because of raising children, and, you know, theater's nighttime work, and it wasn't possible with my husband's schedule and the children. And so I mentally decided, all right, that was part of my life. It's over. That's fine. We'll go on and do different things. But about 12 years ago, long story short, I met Frank Barnhart in Actors Theater, and Frank just by a whim asked me to be in a play. And I came home and I said to my husband, Frank's never seen me act. He doesn't know that I can, but he asked me to be in this play. And I said, yes, what do you think? And he said, oh, that's great. And I said, well, you know, there probably won't be any other parts for an older woman. So this will probably be I'm one and done. And he used to say that to me all the time because he thought that was hysterical, because I've had lots and lots and lots of opportunities. So luckily for me, it wasn't one and done. And then once I got back into it, I just can't imagine giving it up, at least not for a while. Well, my memory is still there, so I can still do it. Yeah, it just gives you a whole beautiful way to look at the world, and friends and friendships and families. And every show you're in, it's a new theater family or an old theater family that you've already worked with. Yeah, it gives a lot of meaning to my life.
You know, Josie, that's how I started acting. I have been writing since I was 9 years old. I have been writing plays and directing plays since the 80s. I have a friend of mine was producing a play. Somebody jumped out of it, and he did just like that. He said, "Hey, could you do this role for me?" And I was just like, unlike you, I don't have theater mayor and that. No, I don't do that. I write, I direct. I don't act. And and that's how it happened. In my in my early 50s, someone asked me to perform. I helped them out, and the rest is history. What about you, Jaimie?
Well, I'm only 22, but I look a little older. So but I think what Josie said is poignant, and what you said as well, Julie, because there's, especially for women, I think in theater and particularly in film, once you're past your due-by date, which for women is much earlier than men, but even for men, there aren't a lot of roles. I think that's changed a lot, and I think because of youthful look that you two have, you can play younger, and the stage is forgiving in that way, and it's it's great to be valued as you get older, because you start to disappear sometimes in our society. You start to disappear, and theater allows us to at least be a focal point and be viable and meaningful to people. And I love that for what it is for me in particular, and I think what it is for people of advancing age such as me.
I think something you just said was real important, Jaimie, that there are more roles that are coming up for us. And I believe that the reason they are is because people like Cory and I, who have been writing, I did a show with somebody in one of my interviews. And one of the things we talked about was this, that it seems like with our writing, and Cory, you can piggyback off of this, it seems like with our writing as writers, that with each era we progress. And so now, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was writing things then for Bill, roles that, we were there young, that's the roles. And then as I got in my 30s and 40s, the roles now, I started putting more characters in there that were closer to my age. And now when I write now, I'm writing plays and I'm ensuring that there is somebody else in there that's not all. I mean, I write for young kids because I work, in theater, and I teach theater. But I'm always very conscious now, because I think it's of my age, to make sure that I'm writing things out there so that people can perform them, and no matter what age. And for you, like Bill, and so that like when you get older, there's roles for you to play. What do you think about that, Cory, as far as, as playwrights, where we play, what's our role in ensuring that there are roles for every stage of an actor?
Well, I see myself as a very late bloomer, because I didn't start writing plays until I was in my mid-30s. And then I had a hiatus for a while. And like you, I wrote about people of the age group I was in at the time. And as I've gotten older, I write about people with more experience of life. And frankly, they're a lot more interesting because they've seen what life is, they've gone through things. I do write about young characters, but I do find that an older character, there's a lot more to play with, and there's a lot more that's interesting to me, and hopefully interesting to the actor and the audience as well. There's a depth that might not necessarily be there with a younger character. So, yeah.
Well, along with that, as an actor, I really believe and know that I have a more ability, more skill now, the older I get. it's the experience that you've had with life, and all your experiences come together to help inform your ability to look at a character and see all the different facets of a person. And I think you just get better with age.
Bill, you're working in this particular cast. It has, it's balanced as far as age. The age group, it's a little bit of everything because everybody's a certain different age. Even so, how hold on. Bill, you're a young actor. What is your experience thus far? Have you seen that there are roles and plays that you are in where is it more younger people in them, or is it common? How do you feel like, okay, I'm working against these two older? Have we evolved like that, or is it still out there when you're out there acting that you find yourself that most of the actors and the characters are either old, young? Is it starting to, as you as a young person, how are you seeing that?
I've been very lucky in the shows and productions that I've been able to be a part of. I get to work with a wide range all across the board, from 6 years old to, how old's Herb Brown, Josie? 96?
90, I think.
90?
Yeah.
So I may have a different perspective on it than a lot of the young actors in the city, but I think that there is a really good representation right now. Because when I first started acting, mentioning Frank Barnhart again, he put me in the role of Von Trapp in Sound of Music, and I was 21 years old. And that's all that the papers could say, or any of the news articles. They just lambasted us because I was too young to play the part. But at the time, there wasn't a community that really talked to each other between theater companies. And I feel like that is the biggest driving factor behind the diversity in age and ethnicity that we're seeing, is that people are starting to communicate and work together like other major cities do. So I think that's the biggest driving factor, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
You another good point. You hit the nail on the head, Bill. And that's one of the reasons why I started Let's Talk Theater. That's one of the reasons I started the Columbus Black Theater Festival and my company, Mind for God Production, was because behind the goal of people, you can't find anything if you don't look or know where they are. And the one key is you must look. And you said it so right on point. It was a lot of not networking out, not reaching out, not saying to another theater company, "Hey man, I need an old man. You got one? You know, who do you recommend?" Or going over to another theater company that works with children a lot and saying, I don't usually work with children. I need some kids. And so I believe that is one of the, because we are more willing now to venture outside of just our own production company. Because I think that's what happened a lot, was people like, this is my production company. I have my ensemble. And, when I produce plays, I'm looking for plays to produce that fits my ensemble. So I'm going to only license pictures that, plays that only, because I got my ensemble. See? And now my ensemble, it may be all that. It may be all right. It may be children. See? I may have a senior theater group or something, or whatever. And I think, like you said, Bill, so what happened was that's why everybody just stayed in that. And we're not doing that anymore, which I think is great, because stories need to be told. And people are getting tired of going to the theater and seeing these same 8 or 10 plays every year. And I don't even got to name them because you know which ones I'm talking about. Quit producing them over and over again. There's so many new writers out there like Cory. Talk to me. Talk to us about, being a playwright and getting your plays, out there. How important is it that we have original works, and give opportunities. And then Jaimie, earlier you said, now after he starts that, I want you to jump in because for example, when you was talking about earlier, well, now I'm starting to get out there. Guess what? I'll be contacting you. You see what I mean? Because now I know you. Oh, Bill. Oh, you guys at? Oh, I'll find a way to make sure I can send you notices. You see? And then when people see Let's Talk Theater, they see, oh, that's another actor right there. Oh, Josie's still in the game. Bill, you know what I'm saying? Am I lying? Cory, talk to us about that.
Well, my experience as a new or young playwright, when you first write something, you think, I have this gold thing that everybody is going to want. And just because I've written it, the world's going to flock to me. Well, you find out quickly that that's not the case. And not just the marketing, but the networking is what's really crucial, getting to know people, building trust with them, having them trust me, and then just writing something that's quality, that's intriguing. But it is a challenge, as you know, it is a struggle to get your work out there and get it noticed, both locally, regionally, and nationally. It just really is. And there's a fair amount of disappointment, but you keep going, and eventually, at least in my experience, somebody pays attention. So somebody paid attention when Catspaw was produced for the first time 20 years ago in Oklahoma City. Mark Schwamberger with Evolution Theater paid attention 10 some years ago and produced a couple of my plays. Now Original Productions Theater is taking an interest. And Joe Bishara, I cannot say enough good things about Joe Bishara. He has just been a champion for me. And I am so grateful to him and to Mark Schwamberger and to everybody who has liked what I've done and then made suggestions for how to make it better. It's just been a wild ride, and it's not over yet. I feel like I'm just really getting started.
Well, Joe's been a champion for a long time, all the way back to when he was at Catco. I really look at Joe as being one of the reasons why we have started to have so much diversity and networking and amongst that, because of his efforts when he first started out to bring diversity, to produce, to have readings by new playwrights of all races, genders. And he started that years ago. That's how I would even say that Joe was one of the main reasons that the Black Theater Festival stayed, because he was so supportive of me from the very beginning. When, I start off with just 3 shows and, and hardly nobody coming. And, and every year, like, oh God, and because I'm paying for all this out of my own pocket, just with this, we need this in Columbus. We need people to come to Columbus, bring playwrights from around the country, bring, actors from around the world. So he was very important to that piece. And, now, of course, he's in Dublin and he's bringing it to Dublin. The piece of diversity, new stories, cast that when you look at the cast, it's not all one. And, of course, there are stories that have to be all one because it depends on what it is. You know what I'm saying? If the story is just centered around a family and they don't go outside their home, then, of course, that, you see what I'm saying? But Joe has done such a good job of choosing plays where you can have that diversity. You can have the age differences, where you can have the different races and all that. Jaimie. Talk to us about that. About, that coming into when you did, from the time you said you've been in it, what, 15 years? So has there been a change in your in what's available from when you first came in to what you can possibly do now?
Absolutely, and I think that to what you were saying, Julie, the theater community is a stepchild to the arts, I think, in a lot of ways, and is to express an opinion, pretty mistreated, in terms of funding, support, etc. And it's not because it's not good. It's quite the opposite. Despite the fact that it gets about as much support as despite the fact of low support from a financial and kind of patronage point of view, it thrives. And it's because of people like you, and it's because of people like Cory and Joe Bishara. It takes this kind of commitment. And so to your question, the opportunity for better and better opportunities for actors and playwrights, I think, seems to be in Central Ohio on the rise. Surely compared to the place that I grew up in, 40 years ago, what passed for theater was good, but it wasn't great, and it surely wasn't diverse in any measure, by any measure. And so, absolutely, I think that we're on an accelerating pace toward better, and I think opportunity is getting better. The money ain't getting any better, but that's not why we're in it. It just would. It always breaks my heart to see, as I think you alluded to earlier, the same show every cycle, same actors, cycle. It goes the same way in the movies. When there's all this fantastic original work out there, there's all these fantastic actors like Bill, like Josie, that are out there, performing and able to change. As Glenn Close said, I can change a molecule in front of your face, even though you're 30 feet away from me, by being, up on stage. I can change the way you look at the world. And that's what we do, hopefully, if we do it well.
And I've been lucky, excuse me, actually, unusually, maybe this is my third production in a row of original works this year. So I did Life Alert with Embers Women's Theater, which was an original play. The playwright was from New York, but she came here. And The Duchess with Bill at the Abbey Theater with that Herb Brown wrote. And now Catspaw, Cory's play. So that's 3 original works in a row, which is pretty encouraging, I think.
Yeah, Jaimie, you said it. I always tell people Central Ohio is a little off Broadway. Every weekend there's plays going on. So many so that you have a hard time figuring out where you're going. It's like, do I go here? Do I go here? And can I afford it? So thank God, I am so happy. I think that one of the, with every bad thing, that if you look, you can try to find something good. That's always been my try to find something good in everything, even if it's nothing except that I just got a lesson in it. You know what I mean? Then I do that again. You know what I'm saying? That's the good. It's good not to do it again, right? Even if it's bad. So I try to do that. And so one of the things I say that's about COVID is, it was really bad, especially for us for theater. I mean, it shut us down. It shut entertainment down, movies, all that down. But it also opened the door that now when we're doing our plays and productions, it opened the door for so many people that couldn't get to the theater, that are bedridden, live 3 states over and want to see their grandchild, because most of the production companies have started to virtually stream their shows. And so for me, I say that is and I took, because when COVID hit us in 2020, I'm like, I talked to my production teams. What are we going to do with this Black Theater Festival? Are we just going to say no show this year because of COVID? Or what are we going to do? And we said the show's going to go on. So we did it virtually and opened up a whole new world because we had playwrights from Australia and India and all over the city, straight here, and just different places that we were able to produce those playwrights' work, and people were able to see it all over the world. So I had said it then, and in the beginning when I had my shows, when I talk to people, I'm like, so where you think it's going? Oh no, we're never going to do the virtual. I can't wait till we get back in the theater. It's just going to be on the stage. That's it. We're never going to do it. Guess what? As I said then, and it's proven now, only a foolish company would not take advantage of what everybody's taking advantage of. Okay? If you want to stick and say, well, I will never, videotape our shows and do them virtually. Well, that's just, that's a market that you've lost because it's what's out there now. And not only is it out there, it also, as far as I'm concerned, the good, as of what I said. Think of all those other people that couldn't get a chance or can't get there that now see your work. Bill, what do you think about that? You being the younger one, and you guys grew up like this, with the virtual. Isn't that a great aspect that now I'm so busy, I want to see a play and I can't actually get there. They're streaming it?
I was very lucky. I was born in 92, so I got out right before the technological boom. So I got to see the world before and the transition. So I still like going outside and stuff like that. But we were working. I worked for Broadway to LA and the Abbey Theatre out there. And when COVID hit, all our productions, like you said, went virtual. All of the classes went virtual. And I think you're right. You have to take advantage of all the hard work that COVID forced theater companies to do, because I don't think anyone really wanted to trudge through and figure it out if they didn't have to. But COVID kind of forced everyone's hands. So if you have no other option, the show must go on. You find a way to bring the show to your audience. It worked out in the long run. And now that we've fixed all the bugs and figured out where all the potholes in the road are, I think you're right. You have to take advantage of it so that you can reach a wider audience.
Let's talk about Catspaw. I want each one of you to tell me. We'll start with you this time, Bill. Tell us just a little briefly about your character and why you love him.
I'm playing Richard. I do love Richard. I probably wouldn't love him if I knew him in real life, but I do love playing him. It's the most fun I've had on stage in a good while, just because of how free I was to play with the words that Cory wrote. Joe Bishara, being the director, has given me a lot of direction in the past. I've worked on quite a few shows with him, and he always has something in mind that he's kind of going for with the character. But for this one, he kind of just let me swing, and it has been amazing because he's erratic. He's highly perceptive, I think, to other people's chagrin. I would say Jaimie's character is not too fond of Richard and how much he pays attention to details. And he does have a bit of a substance abuse problem in his past, or currently in his presence, by maybe how I'm acting it. I'm not sure.
So Josie, who's your character? What do you love about her or hate?
I play Alice, and I do love Alice. She's funny, smart, witty, conniving. I don't want to say too much about her. She don't want to give too much away, but she was Barbara's best friend. Barbara's the missing woman. She gets into everybody's business. She's that nosy neighbor that you love to hate, that people know. And she's just a lot of fun to play.
Yes, I mean that was one of my most enjoyable roles. Was playing Alice. So yeah. All right. Jaimie. Oh, so far everybody's been saying that your character is a cat. Do you love him or hate him too?
Oh, I always love my characters. It's like Bill said, I may not want to party with Peter if I knew him, but I like being inside his skin, because the wonderful thing about, human beings is I think all of us have the capability of a lot of stuff we don't know about, for good and for bad. And I think that Peter represents a lot of the bad that is in us, but he's also a human. I mean, he can't, we can't ignore that, and that he's capable of what he does in this play is, what the playwright wanted to portray to the world. It's like, look at this guy. He's slick, he's conniving, and he's, hopefully believable at what he does. Otherwise it wouldn't work. So I love the character. I love what Cory's done with him. He's not a completely, one-dimensional evil character that's just a throwaway. He's got more nuance to him, and he's got a lot of levels of malevolence, which are played out quite nicely by the playwright.
Yeah, Cory, this is a really great play. And so, Cory, I guess you'll have to tell us about the last cast member.
Sure. Ollie Warden plays Lindy, Barbara's daughter and Richard's sister. And Lindy's kind of caught in the middle of all these characters, trying to figure out who to trust, who not to trust. And maybe people shouldn't trust Lindy too much either. She is a complex character, nuanced, I think. I'm trying to write, I aim to write nuanced characters. I'm interested in psychology. I don't want to write about one-dimensional people. I write about a lot of people that you really wouldn't want to meet on the street or get to know very well, but they're fascinating, even if you would only want to have a small time with them. So I think Lindy, Richard, Alice, and Peter are all fascinating characters, and they play very well in this piece. And would I want to spend an evening with all four of them or any one of them individually? Probably not. But it was a lot of fun to write this play. It was a lot of fun to rewrite this play because I wrote it 20 years ago, so I've had to revise it to bring it up to date. When I wrote it, we didn't have cell phones, and now we have cell phones, and they're in the play. So yeah, it's been a great deal of fun. So in sum, I mean, the play is about a missing woman and four people who may or may not want her found, and then what happens when they all get together. So that's Catspaw.
And my audience, you're gonna love Catspaw. It is really, you just really need to come. I know this is one where I'm gonna try to make it my best to be in the seats on this one and stream it. Nah, I'm gonna pick one. Now tell us, I don't care which one, whoever has the information, tell us, how can we get the tickets and the dates of the show?
So we open on March 17th, which is a Thursday. We run the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. So that's 3 evening performances and 1 Sunday matinee. And then we run the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th of March. Again, another Thursday, Friday, Saturday evening performance and Sunday matinee. Tickets are available on the Dublin website, Abbey Theatre website. And it's fairly simple to find it. And we are posting links to social media everywhere. We're trying to advertise it as broadly as possible, but if you want a ticket, go to the Abbey Theatre of Dublin website and you will find us.
Well, I want to thank you, Cory.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Jaimie.
You're welcome, and thank you.
I want to thank you, Miss Josie.
Thank you, Julie.
And you, of course, Mr. Bill,
Anytime.
for being with me on Let's Talk Theater and talking about Catspaws. And of course, you know, since this is Let's Talk Theater, we had to talk about a little bit more. Because it all comes down to us being together, working together, networking together, as Bill pointed out, and just being open to new things. Break a leg, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me, Julie Whitney Scott, your producer and host of Let's Talk Theater, a Mind for God Productions sponsored event, heard only on WGRN LP 94.1. For the full video interview, go to my Julie Whitney Scott Facebook page.